tonight we got WWE yet again proving to all of us why they are just the kings of disappointment, okay? This show, when they showed the graphics at the beginning of the show as to what we'll be getting, I thought, this could be pretty good. This might be a Raw that I don't, absolutely hate sitting through. It might be a show that, I'm entertained by for large chunks of it. And boy, was I wrong. Now, tonight's show was competing against the College Football National Championship games between LSU and Clemson. Most people will be watching that, and that's going to get an insane rating, I'm sure. This Raw show, they're competing with it, and that's the vibe I got when they showed what we're getting at the beginning of this show. So, on paper, this is what was scheduled for tonight's show. So, Vic Joseph advertised at the very beginning, guys, tonight Raw's going to be huge. Brock Lesnar will appear. There'll be a rematch of last week's main event, only it'll be a fist fight. We'll get Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy 3 back by popular demand. Rusev will take on Lashley. Becky and Asuka are going to have a contract signing. And we'll get Randy Orton and AJ Styles. So, at the start, I'm thinking to myself, wow, that sounds like the culmination of literally every storyline on Monday Night Raw. This show should be, really good, if all that stuff delivers and is as entertaining as it, should be. But this is Monday Night Raw. And the creative behind this show is inept. Because what we end up getting end of tonight, just this show, so much of it I was just bored out of my brain watching. Especially the first, the first 2 hours of this show, outside of what they did at the very beginning, the first, 2 hours, I was bored to tears watching. The third hour, they did some redeemable stuff. The fist fight I didn't love at all, but they did some redeemable stuff, and I'll talk about that later, but, on the whole, as I said, the opening stuff I liked, but that block from, after 20 minutes into the show to literally, the 2 hour mark, I was bored to tears watching. I was, embarrassed at points. Nothing was happening. And I'm like, this is supposed to be, a kind of a blockbuster episode of Raw. They're not competing with the College Football National Championship because it's Raw in 2020. They can't compete with that. But at least they're trying to put up a good show so that not everyone just goes to watch that. But after watching that first hour and a half, most people who watched the first hour of Raw will probably thought, stuff this show sucks. I'm going to go watch college football and see who wins the national championship. That's what the vibe I got from Raw, because the last 40 minutes of the first hour was just god-awful trash. Then the second hour itself was just bored. It was so boring. It was so bad. And that hour had Brock Lesnar. It had a Brock Lesnar segment. It had the Rusev and Lashley thing. It was just bad. And, I'm sitting there watching this, and throughout the show, they're just doing a bunch of stuff, which I'm thinking to myself, just why? Are they trying to keep viewers sticking around? The way they went about this show is absolutely the worst possible way to go about it. As I said, you had the circumstances going in with the national championship. So you give us Ricochet versus Mojo Rawley half an hour into the show. You give us Charlotte versus Sarah Logan 40 minutes into the show. You give us 4 ads for Miz and Mrs. in the first hour. You give us the Street Profits, and you give us a cringe video package for the Big Show and Owens and Joe versus AOP and Rollins fist fight. That was the first hour after McIntyre won the match. What is that? And as I said, the second hour was no better. The third hour, redeemable. The contract signing I enjoyed. And Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy I enjoyed. But, is that it? And just disappointing. Anyway, I've gone on a fair while just talking about that. So, anyway, onto this show. As I said, they opened with Vic Joseph, promising a huge Raw for tonight. But then, as I said, it's just when you really think about this stuff, I went into this show, after he said everything will be huge, I thought, okay, I'm going to really try and analyze this show, look for the storylines, look for character development, progression, because I'm going to try and be a real wrestling analyst, so to speak. So I went into the show, Randy Orton came out, he made his long-winded entrance, AJ Styles then comes out, and the two have this back and forth on the mic, and I'm thinking to myself, what's the storyline here? And that's the thing, what is the storyline with this? Because all I can think of is that now AJ Styles apparently does RKOs, and that's the storyline. That's not a storyline. I don't know what that is. That's just crap. So, AJ Styles says he RKO is better than Randy Orton, and that Styles' RKOs are phenomenal. Then Drew McIntyre comes out and jokes that his opponents the last few weeks have been nothing, which he's right. No Way Jose, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder. Come on now. McIntyre deserves better. And then McIntyre says that his Claymore is bigger than Orton's RKO, and Orton just tosses the mic on the ground and is I give up, can't be bothered, which that was funny. So from here, They do like the triple threat between Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles, which on paper I like this, but just what's the reason to care? Like, honestly, I'm a big fan of McIntyre, big fan of Styles. Orton, don't really care for, but like, two of these guys in the match I think are great, but I just didn't care about this. And like, they did a minute of the match, Anderson and Gallows rush the ring, and then Orton hits an RKO on Anderson, and McIntyre boots Gallows at ringside, and then we go to commercial for 5 minutes, come back, the match goes literally like 4 minutes, this is awesome chance, I don't know what was awesome, literally, this is awesome chance after a minute back from commercial, so he got literally nothing, and they already, this is awesome chance. Anyway, only notable thing here was that pretty much Orton hit a Styles clash or a Viper clash or whatever on Styles. It didn't look very good. And then we literally got the ending sequence that saw Styles go roll up Orton. Orton kicked out, then he RKO'd Styles. Then McIntyre rushed the ring, literally jumps over Styles as he hits a Claymore on Orton. And then McIntyre pins Styles to win the match. So, right off the bat, I love that McIntyre won this match. I think McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, that's the match you need to go for. Will it happen though? Probably not. Will Drew McIntyre end up just facing US, in the US title picture? Probably, but McIntyre should be in the WrestleMania match against Brock, but it won't happen. But I was thinking about it. What was this whole thing about? McIntyre trying to get momentum for the Rumble, which is the biggest. We have no story. Let's just give it something. So momentum for the Rumble, or my Claymore is bigger than your RKO. Like, what is that? So yeah, McIntyre wins, and from here we have a commercial break, and then we get this terribly cringe video package, which the way it was shot was just so bad. Last Monday at 10:59 p.m. Then they show Big Show knocking out Seth Rollins. Then 2 hours and 16 minutes earlier. So we see Owens and Joe having a dialogue exchange they did last week. Just so overdramatic, trying to build up this rematch this week of a match that no one cared about last week. So what makes WWE think people care this week? So from here we get the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Actually, that reminds me. As JD from New York perfectly said last week, not even the real Messiah could save this show, okay? Rollins, the ratings killer, he comes over. AOP are agreeing with him in foreign languages. I'm never going to understand what languages they're actually speaking, and I'm not going to try to. Rollins basically is talking about how his destiny will be fulfilled, and it was such a cringe promo. Actually listen to the words, it made no sense what he was saying, so we get that. And then the last half an hour of the first hour, I'm going to really skim through this because there's no point analysing this in detail. But this is how Monday Night Raw attempts to keep viewers around with a national championship game on another channel for college football. Ricochet comes out, go to commercial for 5 minutes, we come back, Mojo Rawley comes out, so we get Ricochet, Mojo Rawley for 4 minutes. I'm not going to review this match. Why is Mojo Rawley still employed? Ricochet hits a recoil on a 450, moving on, Ricochet gets the win. So then we go backstage to the Street Profits, our unofficial hosts for Raw. They're reciting this script that some writer who probably doesn't know them, wrote, so I don't care. Moving on. Then we get Charlotte Flair making her entrance. This is the same thing as Ricochet 10 minutes prior. Charlotte makes her entrance. The crowd seem decently engaged. We go to commercial for 5 minutes. Come back. It's Charlotte Flair versus Sarah Logan again. No one cared last week. No one cares this week. So this was just dead TV. I couldn't care less watching it. Charlotte wins the figure 8. Moving on. Then we go to another commercial, and there's an ad for Ms. and Mrs. Season 2 on the USA Network. And you can bet your bottom dollar, I ain't watching that crap, no chance in hell. So, from here we get Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, they're arguing about the rules of the fist fight. Big Show comes over and says he's going to knock out Rollins, and then that's literally it. So from here, that was the first hour. So, literally, 1 hour into the show, I'm thinking, the last 40 minutes of that hour were god-awful train wreck television, nothing to see. The McIntyre stuff I liked. I like that McIntyre gets the win, so I'm a big fan of Drew. But Ricochet and Charlotte winning squash matches, that's how you compete with the national championship. Anyway, from here we get the Brock Lesnar and R-Truth segment. This was just shows how out of touch the company is. I'm watching this, so Brock Lesnar comes out, his graphics for his entrance look sick. Lesnar, he makes his entrance, he gets in the ring, him and Heyman are standing there. Heyman's dissing the crowd. They start chanting you suck at Brock. So Heyman and Brock threaten to leave, which they're never just going to leave. And then they get back into the ring. And Heyman's just talking about how he makes promises and how Brock's going to win at the Royal Rumble and he's going to go from number one to get the win. And then R-Truth comes out. So the 24/7 champion makes his entrance. I'm just cringing. I'm thinking to myself, you got Brock, paid him God knows how much money to do this. Is this the absolute best you can do for Brock? So Brock Lesnar, this whole thing was just, I didn't care. R-Truth's just going on and on. This went for like 10 minutes. He's just crapping on about nothing. Brock's just doing this horribly fake-looking laugh. Like, I would love to know what's really going on in Brock's head during this. Brock was probably thinking to himself, oh my god, why do I even work here anymore? Then he probably thinks of the paycheck and he thinks it's okay. Anyway, Brock's like, he's trying to calm Heyman down. Heyman's getting all pissed. R-Truth's thinking Heyman's in the Rumble. Like, this was just filth. Anyway, pretty much all of this ends with Brock clotheslining down R-Truth, F5ing him, and then literally saying, that's what's up, in like the Brock voice, which is hilarious. So we got that. This whole segment, it was just childish and goofy. And it's a prime example of why no one cares about WWE nowadays. Like, what was this? This was just bad. Like, this was your Brock Lesnar appearance. This was WWE Champion Brock Lesnar live on Raw. This is what we got. Him and R-Truth having this cringe exchange for 10 minutes. Like, this shouldn't have even happened. Anyway, so we go to commercial for literally 5 minutes. We come back, see a replay of R-Truth being F5. Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler during this are like incredibly somber on commentary. They're like, Vic Joseph sounded like he'd just seen a family member get shot. Like, his commentary was so somber. From here, R-Truth is shown being helped up the ramp by like 4 like doctors and referees. So R-Truth, someone who's been wrestling for 25 years, is now just he's a jobber who just. This is going to be so annoying. This and a lot of things on this show just gets me annoyed because R-Truth needs 4 doctors to help him up after an F5 and a clothesline. Do you know how ridiculous that looks? He's a professional. If you grab some 8-year-old kid or some random woman or some just unfit bloke from the crowd and did that to them, yes, I can understand doctors helping him. But this is a professionally trained wrestler who's been doing this for 25 years. But whatever, that's too much analysis for WWE. Anyway, from here, yes, the Truth's being helped up the ramp. You knew it was coming. It was just a matter of who. Pretty much, he's got 24/7 champion R-Truth. Mojo Rawley rushes down the ramp, so a second Mojo appearance already. Mojo boots R-Truth, 1, 2, 3. Mojo wins the 24/7 title, and he's standing over R-Truth, yelling at him. I'm just thinking to myself, why do I do this to myself? And how did WWE expect this to counteract the National Championship game in any capacity? So we got that. This whole segment was pointless. Brock's going to be number 1 in the Rumble. Did you really need this segment to try and advertise that? This was just Brock saying they're fake laughing at R-Truth for 10 minutes. So, anyway, from here we see Lashley and Lana getting out of the limo before Raw went on the air. Lana's wearing this top that looked like a rainbow, like a legitimate rainbow, did diarrhea onto a black top, and that's what Lana was wearing. Anyway, they talk about how everyone's jealous of their marriage. They recap all the things that happened in their wedding. They're showing videos of the wedding. I don't care. So from here we go to Bob Lashley versus Rusev 2. This is the rematch of TLC. And to think that pay-per-view was a month ago and they've dragged this out, so the second match is only happening here. Just ridiculous. Basically, Liv Morgan promised to be in Rusev's corner, but she just wasn't. The match itself went for literally 12, 14 minutes. It went too long. I'm not going to review the actual action because during this I was just on my phone tweeting and just messing around, not even watching it. Basically, I'll review the ending because that's all that really kind of matters to this dead storyline. So basically, the match goes to a mid-match commercial. The commercial goes 4 minutes as usual. Rusev looks like he's in control. Then Lana gets on the apron, makes a big commotion, distracts Rusev. Lashley takes Rusev down. From here, Liv Morgan storms down, looking all pissed off. She goes to ringside where Lana is. So Lana's near the timekeeper's area. She grabs this glass of... I was barely even paying attention. I didn't catch exactly what it was. She gets this glass of some drink, throws at Liv Morgan's. Liv Morgan's just all wet and all saturated with this drink. So literally on Raw they're doing a lesbian wet t-shirt contest. That's basically what this was. And from here, Liv Morgan, she's on the ground. She's in shock. She can't believe what happened because Lana dumped her to the ground as well. So Liv Morgan's in shock at what just happened. She's like, oh my god, I just got abused. And then literally Lashley just wins the match. So that's what we got here. And yeah, that was Rusev versus Lashley. So I went in not caring. I came out not caring. Just this is a dead storyline. Absolutely dead television. No reason to care with these two. So from here we moved on to the show. By this point, we're an hour and 45 minutes into Raw, following this 5-minute commercial after that match. I'm thinking to myself, what have we got so far in this show? We've got McIntyre winning in a triple threat match that made no sense when you really think about it. They were fighting over whose finisher was bigger, which makes no sense. And then we've gotten Jobber Garbage, R-Truth and Brock for some reason, and then this Lana Lashley thing. So at this point in the show, I'm just completely done with Raw. I want to turn this show off immediately. I don't want to watch the next hour and 15 minutes, even though I knew that there'd be Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy, a fist fight, a contract signing. Like, I just didn't care anymore, because this show had just taken the life out of me. So anyway, we roll on with the show. And the show hardly got better for the last little bit of this second hour. Like, this is the kind of stuff that makes me say that the second hour was as bad as it was. Literally, after a commercial, we get Lashley and Lana being interviewed by Charlie Caruso. Lashley's, like, kind of exhausted of the match. He sounds like he's sick of fighting Rusev. And then Lana just demands, like, she's sick of Liv Morgan. She won't have anyone, like, embarrass her. So next week, there's going to be, like, a mixed match challenge type deal where Lana and Lashley take on Rusev and Liv Morgan. Like, I could not care less. And there's even more on this later. So from here, I'm just completely going to pretty much skip over this. Viking Raiders come out. I mentioned this last week in great detail how Raw has no tag team division. Well, the Viking Raiders come out for another one of these quote-unquote open challenges. They say literally like 2 sentences each. Then the Singh brothers come out. The two clowns, the irrelevant jobber losers, the Singh brothers. They come out and get beaten in literally a minute by the Viking Raiders, moving right along. We go backstage again. Rusev and Liv Morgan, they're like addressing the challenge, which, speaking of that challenge, it's all Vic Joseph was talking about during the 2-minute Viking Raiders match. But anyway, Rusev, he's like, oh, I'll fight Lashley, whether it's 5-on-1, 7-on-2, that kind of thing. Liv Morgan then says, like, karma's the B word, and I'm a family-friendly channel, no swearing. So karma's the B word, and that was that. So that was the second hour of Raw. Brock Lesnar and R-Truth with a cringe segment that was a waste of time. Rusev and Lashley for literally 20 minutes. A bunch of backstage segments and interviews with Rusev, Lana, Lashley, and Liv Morgan. And then a Singh Brothers versus Viking Raiders match. Okay? That hour, as well as the last 40 minutes of the first hour, that's how you're trying to counteract everything that's going down with the National Championship. That is what you're doing on Monday Night Raw to try and keep the ratings up, yeah? It's like they threw in the towel. They booked a good show. It's like last week, they wanted this show to be good. Then they got to Raw today and just said, stuff it. Just put a show together. The fans don't matter. They'll come to the shows. They'll buy the network anyway. Just stuff them. It's like that's what Vince said, because this show, the second hour was garbage. And then we get to the third hour, so by this point, I'm completely done with the show. Even if Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black is the greatest match of all time, I wouldn't have cared because I was completely done with this show after an hour and 40 minutes of nauseating garbage. Even if, as I said, even the Becky Lynch Asuka contract signing was the best contract signing we've ever seen. I was done, okay? And let alone there was still a fist fight to come, so I'll just get into this final hour and then wrap this show up, because honestly, by this point, I was done. So yeah, the contract signing, I mentioned this earlier in the video. I liked what they did here. Pretty much, like, you weren't going to have Asuka talk, and if they did, I would have probably crapped on this segment, because when they have Asuka or Kairi Sane, or even like the Authors of Pain, like speaking foreign languages, it just doesn't work. Pretty much what they did here, Jerry Lawler's in the ring hosting this thing, which Jerry looks so out of place in these situations. He's like a 70-year-old, like, old guy. He's just an old man. So, like, anyway, that's irrelevant. Pretty much Becky makes her entrance. She was pretty over. Asuka came out with Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane, like, messed with Becky a little bit. I like that. And then, literally, they both signed the contract. And then Asuka spat green mist into Becky's face. Becky, like, she was, at ringside, like, near the timekeeper's area, freaking out. Like, 5 doctors are pouring water into her eyes as they're, like, referees with towels. This big dramatic scene. Asuka and Kairi Sane, run off laughing. So I really like what they did there. And then Becky cuts this drama class Shakespearean monologue. Like, the first 30 seconds of this promo she cut, where her eyes were still, like, ruined from the grey mist. She's cutting this, like, over dramatic, deep promo, talking about how serious this match is and how this is everything to her, and the words she's using. I'm thinking to myself, this is a drama class Shakespeare monologue. This is like what you do when we're going to do a drama game. Let's play, do the Shakespeare monologue. You've got 3 hours to rehearse, like that kind of thing. That was the Becky monologue here, so yeah, that was that. Good contract signing. Best part of the show, in my opinion, outside of Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. Like, up till this point, this is the best thing we've gotten for 2 hours on this show, so, I mean, it doesn't say a lot, like, honestly. So, continuing on with the third hour, they did more stuff which I thought was, like I liked it, but is it great television, and is it redeeming what happened in the first 2 hours of the show? No. Like, that's the thing. A lot of stuff in this third hour, people are just going to use and say, oh, but they did this and this, how can you not like the show? Well, how about maybe giving us the first 2 hours of actually decent TV instead of just god-awful filth? That would have helped. But anyway, so from here, as I said, after that contract signing, we get backstage. Get a recap of Andrade Rey Mysterio from last week. And so next week, we'll get a Rey Mysterio versus Andrade US title ladder match, which that sounds great. I'm actually excited for that. Then Andrade and Vega, they're interviewed backstage by some woman who I've never seen before. Vega says that Rey's a disgrace to Latinos everywhere, a terrible example for Dominic and all of his children. Andrade says he's disgusted to call Rey Mysterio a Latino. Andrade begins screaming at the interviewer, and that's all we get there. So from here we go straight to Rey Mysterio being interviewed by Charlie Caruso. Rey says that what Andrade said about him and all Latinos was hurtful. Rey finishes by saying something that didn't make any sense. He says that he won't just take the US title back, he'll take it back from Andrade. It's like, yeah. So that was Rey's little promo. This Rey and Andrade thing I'm actually excited for. Can't wait to see what they do next week on Raw. And then we get a recap of Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy. Aleister Black makes his entrance and we go to commercials. So Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy 3. Pretty much, at the start of the review I said that the third hour was much better, and it was primarily because of this. This match, as you'd expect coming in, it was the complete savior for the show. Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy. Granted, my criticisms that there isn't any story for this are all valid. There's just no new story. They're just having matches for the sake of it because, do the fans like it? We'll just give it to them again and again and again for no reason. But what's the bet there'll be a Black Murphy 4 in 2 weeks? But anyway, this match here, very good once again. These two guys are great in the ring together. I'm not going to review this in as much detail because it's the third hour of Raw. I don't really care to, honestly. You've seen the first two, you've seen this pretty much. The moves they did were pretty cool. It was really fun to watch. Good flow to the match. So, they did this stuff at ringside where, pretty much the first half of the match, before the mid-match commercial, these two guys are just fighting at ringside, the whole time. So they're brawling around ringside. They go to the timekeeper's area. Murphy stands on the timekeeper's barricade. Black then, sweeps Murphy's leg, and Murphy lands hard across the ringside barricade. From here, we go to the mid-match commercial. We come back, and immediately there's This Is Awesome chance for the match, as it deserves. These two guys then just have a great, 5 to 7 minutes, I'd say. Maybe, even 10 minutes. We got a really good, lengthy match here between these two after this mid-match commercial. Basically, Black and Murphy just going back and forth. This was excellent to watch. These two guys are just great. Basically, the whole storyline, would Murphy lose all three to Aleister Black? In the end, that's what happened, is Aleister Black, he had one black mass, but then Murphy, he got his shoulder up when he didn't. The referee was he got his shoulder up, and then he's, touching his Murphy's traps. I'm he didn't get his shoulder up, but anyway, so in the end, Aleister Black gets the win. Aleister Black wins 3 matches over Buddy Murphy. So it looks like this is over now, which, good. Given there was no storyline, I'm kind of happy it's over now because, they're not really fighting for anything. They're having great matches week after week with no real story. So, that was that. From here, we go to Eric Rowan. Rowan beats some jobber. Rowan himself is I'll show you what's in the cage. Sticks his hand in the cage. This thing is clearly some just animal or whatever. It bites him. He has red stuff on his hand. Then he just hits the Iron Claw, chokeslam on this jobber, wins the match. Moving on, we get to the main event. So, at 2 hours, 46 minutes into this show, we see Rollins and the AOP walking through the backstage area to the ring, and Vic Joseph shouts, the Monday Night Messiah, and then we go to commercial. So by the time this commercial was over, it was literally 2 hours and 51 minutes into this show. Literally, this was just 5 minutes of this big multi-man kind of street fight type thing. That's what this was. The one thing I did like about this though, Buddy Murphy, he'd just taken the loss to Aleister Black. Murphy was sitting at ringside near the timekeeper's area, thoughtfully reflecting on what just happened, looking really confused. Basically, so the 3-on-3 match goes on. They have Kevin Owens do this cool he runs up the Raw stage because it's a slide. He runs and then does a senton flip onto AOP. So AOP, Joe, and Owens, they're all brawling near the announce table, that kind of area. Joe hits a senton dive to I think it was Akam through a table. Then from here, Akam and Razor take control. They get Joe and Owens on table. They take them out. Then in the ring, they do the big thing where Buddy Murphy, he's still sitting at ringside. Seth Rollins goes over to him and says, "Join us, Buddy, please." And then Buddy then 2 minutes later, not even 2 minutes, 30 seconds later, as Big Show's beating up Rollins, Murphy gets in the ring, jumps Big Show. They send Big Show through a table. From here, we literally get Rollins, AOP, and Buddy Murphy all beating up Big Show. So, they're laid out, and that's actually how the show ends, with Buddy Murphy, AOP, and Rollins standing tall. This incredibly random stable. There's just no reason for any of this. Basically, Buddy Murphy, he's now like in the top heel group on Raw, I guess. Like, they close the show with Buddy Murphy posing, his arms like in the air with Rollins, Akam, Razor. So that's the top heel group on Raw, sure. Basically, that was Raw. In summary, this show just, that main event, whatever. Pretty much, this whole show was a total disappointment. Like, on paper at the beginning of the show, I thought this was just going to be some, like, actually good Monday Night Raw, which I can't believe the words good and raw are coming out of my mouth in the same sentence. I thought the show was going to be good when they advertised it would be huge, with Randy Orton versus AJ Styles, Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy, Brock Lesnar appearing on the show, and, like, even the Rusev Lashley thing, the contract signing, the fist fight in the main event. I'd hoped for it. In the end, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy was great as usual, and Drew McIntyre winning in that triple threat to open was good, but literally everything else was just bad. Like, Buddy Murphy joining this heel stable, a lot of people are going to say it's great, and it's a great move. I like that Buddy Murphy's finally doing something important, but why? Why any of this? Why is just... I don't understand this Monday Night Raw, the Rollins stable. I don't care for it. The Monday Night Messiah, that's like their only thing with Rollins now. He's the Messiah, get it? The Messiah of what? That's never going to be explained. The Messiah of the ratings? Like, no. Rollins is just a terrible heel. So that was Monday Night Raw. Basically, if you didn't see this show tonight, you're not missing anything, really. If you've seen one Aleister Black Buddy Murphy match, you've seen the one tonight. This show, the first hour, Drew McIntyre, that opening segment, weak. The Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Randy on triple threat was good. Well, the win, the outcome was good. The 40 minutes to finish the first hour with Ricochet and Charlotte winning squash matches and then Miz and Mrs. commercials, that sucked. The second hour, Brock Lesnar and R-Truth, don't care. Rusev and Lashley, don't care. The Viking Raiders being the Singh brothers, don't care. And then the third hour was redeemable. With the stuff with Andrade, Rey Mysterio, with the interviews like that. The Becky Lynch Asuka contract signing was good at points. And then the Aleister Black Buddy Murphy match was good. And the ending of the show was alright. So that was Raw for tonight. If you missed it, you're not missing much. And yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to sub. Oh, actually, I forgot one more thing. John Cena was mentioned during the R-Truth promo. He mentioned that R-Truth said his favorite guy is Cena. So they're probably going to do Cena and Brock at WrestleMania. That's the other thing. And also, thanks for giving support to that video, the Tessa Blanchard one. That's hit literally 600 views as I'm making this, so that's sick, that's insane. I've got 40 subs, to get 600 views in the video is really good, so I'm just going to get out of here. Been here nearly half an hour for this Raw review. I didn't intend to go this long, but just talking about this pile of crap shows just really dragged out, so yeah, thanks for watching. If you like, comment, sub, see ya.